Captain Picard. Priority 1 message from Starfleet coming in on secured channel.
My Readier Room.
Hello, and welcome to the Readier Room, the only and longest-running Star Trek The Next Generation rewatch podcast. Ours has on-the-set, behind-the-scenes stories, all the magic behind the production. My name is Mitchell Mells, Chief Consultant of Services at Paramount Studios, and with me is my life partner, Brandon Hobbs. Brandon Hobbs, how are we doing today?
Wonderful, Mitch.
Yeah?
I'm a little under the weather, as you can probably tell. I seem to have caught the common cold. But we have an arsenal of things to discuss today.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, I am feeling particularly above the weather right now, so in all things, balance.
It all balances out. I do feel better about that. Makes me feel very secure.
Yeah. It's important to recognize the good times along with the bad.
Of course.
We are, special announcement for everybody at home, we're coming at you guys from our brand new studio. We just had a big move recently.
Yeah.
And now it's the new place, the new studio, the new digs.
Yeah. It's it's not completely set up yet, but it's comfy, it's cozy.
Yeah,
I'm liking it a lot.
We got the foam on the walls, the soundproofing, so we can just scream as loud as we want, and it's fine.
Yeah, it's great. The neighbors can't hear us. No more letters posted to our door.
Yep. You could commit murder in this room and nobody would know.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
It's perfect. All right. Speaking of things that are perfect, that would be you guys out there listening. All of our fans are perfect little people, and we support them. And the way we support them is by answering your guys' questions. That's week's question of the week comes from a fan named Bob O. out in Lancashire in England. And Bob asks, "Hey guys, I just want to say that my family and I are eternally readier. We gather around and listen to the show every week. My kid is quickly becoming the Trekkie I always wanted her to be, LOL. Anyway, Trek International? What fun stories do you have of the cast going to different countries? Maybe for a shoot or an event or something? Readierly yours, Bob." Oh, Bob. I'm very, very proud of you, Bob, for making readier ensigns out of your whole clan. Hopefully it's the quality bonding time all families need when you gather around the iPhone and put the earbuds in your ear together. It's great thing for a family to do. Oh,
and
yeah.
it's important. It's important to make sure that your children are watching the same media that you did.
Exactly.
30, 40 years ago.
Yes.
It really builds character, and Trek is unlike anything else, and it's better than anything today. Clear moral values that can be instilled in children. I don't understand the shows today, so I don't like them.
Right.
And my children shouldn't either.
Well, it's nice because when the children go to school, they'll have something new to talk about with their friends, right? And make new friends that way. It's like, hey guys, check this out. I was watching this 40-year-old science fiction serial.
Right.
What do you think about it? And
they're going to be the talk of the town.
Exactly. Instant topic of conversation. Can start it up with anybody. Make new friends. Perfect. I love Bob's parenting. Great parent.
Definitely.
Well, so anyway, Bob Jr., everybody out there, Mrs. Bob, you have a really good question. There's one story in particular that comes to mind when I think about Trek International. And it was when there was an event in England, in London, I believe. I remember Marina was super, super stoked about it. She's from England, so she had this chance to kind of go home and introduce everybody in her home country to TNG, to Trek, which had never really caught on the original series over there up to that point. So it was a big opportunity for her. Producers were in it. It was a whole thing. But unfortunately, a lot of our cast members, aside from Marina, kind of weren't feeling it so much. I think Frakes in particular was not very happy about it. He's like, oh man, I think he said, I don't want to visit that shithole tea island. Very, very savage about England in general. And like, Gates had a pretty reasonable concern, I think, that the English just kind of weren't smart enough to appreciate Trek, which a lot of us were like, yeah, that kind of makes sense. It's a whole thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, in their own way, everybody kind of made it clear that they just were not interested in going. Marina went by herself, along with some producers, and they kind of mentioned to us later on that there's a lot of crying on that airplane ride. She was was pretty despondent over the whole thing, but we have a lot of fun international stories about TNG. If you want to hear more of them, just feel free to send in more questions asking about it. I mean, I think the Greece story in particular would be a good one, but we can't give it all away at once.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So, Bob, thank you for coming in, writing your question. We appreciate it. Bob Jr., I hope you grow up to be the Trekkie that your father is. And if you want your question answered, feel free to send us an email at thereadierroom@gmail.com. It's capital T, capital R, and another capital R. Or you can tweet at us or DM our Twitter account, which is at the Readier Room. And we'll answer your question pre-recorded on the show. All right. So, this week's episode, which I have on good authority, is episode number 20. Yes. Which is called The Arsenal of Freedom. I suspect that we might have different opinions on this episode. Because we were talking and like, oh, I'm excited to talk about this one. I have a lot to say. And I'm like, man, this episode did not stick out in my mind at all in any way. It's a ghost of an episode. Whereas I have very little to say about it. So I'm curious.
Yeah, well, I don't know if I had a lot to say so much as I liked a specific aspect of this episode, and kind of in spite of everything else about it, and that was watching Geordi contend with being in command and being under pressure, and that whole side of the episode, which I thought was an interesting side to his character. I thought it was a fun challenge to see him put through. But the way we get to it is so contrived, and everything that's happening outside of Geordi's conflict is ridiculously boring.
That's the thing. This episode is kind of a tale of three stories that only vaguely impact one another.
Yeah.
And because of that, like, usually these things are split into an A plot and a B plot, but now we have a C plot in there. And all of these pull time from one another that, in my mind, none of them get really all that well developed. I guess I agree that the Geordi stuff is the best of it, but yeah, I just never really felt all that invested in anything because it only got so much screen time, and then we cut away to this other shit that really doesn't matter about anything.
I don't know how many times we've said this already, probably like at least half a dozen times, but it's an interesting concept trapped in a bad episode.
Right. Well, the idea of like, oh, Geordi's in particular is now the captain or acting captain has happened before. He's been in charge, which is weird to me that was revisited twice this early.
It's a bit different though, because now he's under like extreme stress. The Enterprise is about to be destroyed,
Right. Yeah.
So it is a different situation.
It is. It's just, you have this whole cast of characters. It takes Dr. Crusher like 7 seasons to be in the captain's chair, and Geordi does it twice in like 15 episodes.
Right.
Like, I know we were trying to push for Black History Month the last time, but now I don't really remember there being a clear reason for it.
Yeah, lots of black victory in this episode. Lots of black excellence for sure. It made me wonder. This is a bit of a tangent, but it made me wonder who would be in control of the bridge if Geordi was gone.
You mean like the same situation, but Geordi was not there too?
Yes. Who's next in line?
Well, Worf is a main character, which is...
I guess it would be Worf, wouldn't it?
That's good enough justification, I feel. There's also Troy, who also, in various points in the rest of the run, sits in the captain's chair at different times.
Right.
Despite being a therapist. Then, if it's not one of those two, I don't think it would have to just be some like random person on the bridge, not an ensign, because that's the lowest rank. But no, I mean,
Maybe,
all ensigns are great though. We love ensigns.
We love ensigns. Yeah, we love our ensigns.
We love
That's
our
for
ensigns.
sure.
So I don't know, but that is a good question, and I guess in some ways that justifies the choices made in this episode, because I think that every member of the away team has a reason to be there, and I don't think that Worf would kind of outrank Geordi in taking the bridge. I mean,
Right.
nor would he do a very good job.
I mean, he clearly didn't. He actually, I mean, Worf was interesting in this episode, and it's actually one of the reasons you can tell this episode was kind of produced in a hurry, because Worf spends a significant chunk of the episode performing like advanced mathematics, instead of his usual screaming and hitting the computers. And I mean, I guess unsurprisingly, this role was meant to go to a guest character, but the script was finished so late that we just didn't have time to cast him or her. So Worf kind of just unexpectedly became this much more complex character than we originally intended. I mean, he's standing behind Geordi, giving him like all these calculations of when the invisible ship is going to be in range or whatever. And it was a stark contrast to his depiction up to this point, I would say. But luckily, we were able to remedy this pretty quickly by just never having him do this kind of thing ever again. It's
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say it's a little bit jarring, don't you think?
Yeah, it was a sudden burst of competency, is how I would describe it. And when you basically vacate everybody but Worf from the bridge, all the named characters, all the principal characters, Worf does have to step up to do something. He can't just stand in the background suggesting that we fire at it and get rebuffed. He's got to do something.
Right. So I guess it was kind of just a necessity, really, but it's certainly odd. Certainly odd. I kind of couldn't suspend my disbelief. I mean, I guess when you think about it, everyone at Starfleet does have to be extremely competent. I mean, we just saw a couple episodes ago how they wasted their time, examining 4 students, and only one of them got the job.
Right. Yes. I'm still kind of vexed about that whole thing.
I'm very vexed about that.
It's just strange. So the premise of this episode is that the Enterprise comes upon a planet that is devoid of life as per their scans, and they encounter like a pre-recorded message welcoming them. And the thrust of this planet is that it's like a one big arms dealer, like a weapons manufacturing planet. That
can I just say how hilarious it was that Picard got duped by like an answering machine, basically. like that's never happened before. I cannot believe that.
What's great about it is that it takes like a decent amount of time for him to catch on to. He just thinks the guy keeps interrupting him for like 2 minutes.
Yeah, right. Actually, before we continue on, stepping back, we learned that Riker was actually offered command of his own ship. Right?
I wrote this down. I was surprised that this was, because I forgot about this. I was surprised that this was introduced so early. The idea that Riker intentionally turned down captain positions to serve on the Enterprise.
Right. It does kind of make you wonder, like, where can this character really go now?
Right.
You know what I mean? He's already been shown to kind of equal Picard in terms of, like, in Starfleet's eyes,
Right.
So really, what's he doing here? But the only reason I wrote this down was because he kind of makes these bedroom eyes at Picard.
Yeah. When?
I don't know if you noticed that. Well, so I think it's Yar who kind of like incredulously asks him, while he's sitting in his chair next to Picard, she asks, you were offered command of your own ship. Why didn't you take it or whatever? And Riker kind of looks up and stares into Picard's eyes and says something about how much he wanted to be on the Enterprise.
I think I can visualize that shot when it happens. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just a little uncomfortable with it, but
well, that's the thing. That's the only look Frakes knows.
Yes, it is. Usually it's usually he's interacting with a woman. But...
It's either that or the bewilderment, eyebrow raise.
Right. With one eye kind of like more closed than the other.
Yes.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah. So I'm sorry I interrupted you.
It was that guy on the answering machine, which is our first guest star of the episode, which he was fun to have on the set. A little annoying in some ways because like a few of the actors thought that what was the syndrome, like Mustafar syndrome,
Marfan
syndrome, right? A few of the actors thought you could like catch it, by being in contact with the guy.
Yes, that's right.
So it was this whole thing, but he was a nice guy, and he was, once you put that aside, he was easy to work with.
I mean, it was nice because he did bring some star power to the episode. I think he kind of stole every scene he was in. But yes, he was a character. I don't know if it was his syndrome or what, but so he actually gave the Echo Papa its final name, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because the lines that were originally written for him referred to it as something like, I don't know, DX1000, the universe appropriate kind of name, just generic,
Right.
But Vincent, for some reason, insisted on Echo Papa 607. So he's reading his lines where it's the first take, and Les calls out to correct him, and Vincent just starts flailing around and spitting on the camera crew, just yelling Echo Papa, Echo Papa,
Right.
And we kind of had to just let him have it,
Became a bit of a joke around the set, whenever something happened that's like, it can't really be helped. We just kind of look at each other and be like, Echo Papa, Echo Papa.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Because I mean, when you think about it, what kind of name really is Echo Papa for a military weapon?
Right.
And I still don't know to this day where that came from.
It's weird choice, but it worked, and he's generally a weird guy, so I'm not too surprised. But it was fun having him there. Very unlike a lot of the guest stars that we have that have a more detracting experience or feel to their presence. He was the opposite, more of a contributor.
Yeah, for sure.
So I like that the conceit of that whole setup where it's an arms dealer. The Federation is generally a peaceful organization. It feels at odds with the Federation as opposed to them encountering a planet that feels like it's already a part of the Federation in a lot of ways, or could join the Federation pretty easily. This feels more out there, and to me, this feeling extends to like the planet itself. They eventually get an away team and go down there, where I kind of felt that this planet was sufficiently alien, in a lot of ways, not just the look of it, but the threat that is posed feels like an alien threat. It's for once, and I like the more subdued stuff, but it's also nice when it's not just a boardroom meeting with another culture. That is the conflict of the alien planet. Right.
It's actually like violence,
Right. And it's like kind of unknowable, strange violence, where it's like, okay, there's these robots and they keep coming back, but they keep like evolving. And
I did love the projection of Rice.
Big
when they first went.
Big Oblivion NPC energy. That conversation.
That's a great way to put it. Actually, yes. I thought the actor there did a great job of just making this the creepiest performance possible.
Right. It was intentionally off-putting. Although I would say that this moment ousts Riker as being just a complete idiot moron. So he eventually catches on, but on the outside of this, they know there's no life signs on the entire planet, and Riker just comes across this guy standing in the middle of the jungle, and he's like, oh, "What's the guy's name?" Rice. He's like, "Rice, how the hell are you?" It's me, Riker.
yeah. He just happens to show up.
Right. And yeah, but aside from like that moment of Riker idiocy, which is not an irregular occurrence,
Right.
pretty cool scene. And Riker eventually catches on, and they suss out what's happening.
Right.
And it's a fun.
Riker gets frozen.
Yeah, he
little force field.
Gets frozen in the force field, but it's intriguing, I would say. Like as that situation gets pieced together, it does a good job of building your interest. So yeah, Riker gets frozen in that force field once they, figure out or make it apparent that they figured out that this thing is not on the level. And that scene, those scenes, that was a fun day on the set. Probably one of my favorite memories of this episode is Frakes, acting that out. So, of course, on the set itself, there's no special effects or anything. Frakes just has to stand there. But Brent, in a moment of unparalleled genius, decided that today would be the day that he played a practical joke on one Jonathan Frakes.
Which was rare.
It was rare. Very, very un-Brent-like. But I'll take it, because this is amazing. So they're filming that, and the scene is Denise, Brent, and John. And Brent goes up to Frakes between takes, rhyme, and he's like telling the story of this movie he was in, where he's working with Marlon Brando, and Brando doing this whole method acting thing, staying in character between takes, and until they finished shooting. And the way that it heightened his acting, and it was what all the best actors do. And Brando, of course, Academy Award winner, fantastic, one of the best actors of all time. So Frakes is just eating this up. He's like, "Yeah, I get that. That does make sense, right? Yeah, I could do that." And he decides that this is when he's going to do it. So Frakes is going to be in character for the entire shoot. And what that translates to is Frakes standing there perfectly still, even when the camera cuts. And what already would be a long day, the amount of scenes that they had to film, was elongated because Brent, recognizing the opportunity that he's created, kept flubbing his lines on purpose just to extend the shooting. It's
just over and over.
It was wonderful. And you can see, like, the shots from later in the day that made it into the final cut. Frakes is, like, kind of, unsteady, wobbling around. He looks, like, very tired because he had been standing perfectly still like that for, 8-10 hours? Something absurd. Jesus, it was crazy. But at the end of the year, Frakes was pissed that the Emmy nomination never came in. And
I know. It's a damn shame, really.
It is. But unfortunately, those things don't scale with the amount of work you put in. It's
right.
Yeah.
Right.
But he wasn't hearing it.
It's all a racket, really, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. It's people congratulating themselves in those academies and such. Hashtag Frakes got snubbed.
Yeah, let's start that instance.
But all of this stuff, like, on that planet, I think is cool. And I've said this before, I have an affinity for the soundstage planets that we had. I love the lit blue flat background. That's supposed to be the sky. I enjoy it a lot. I enjoy how fake it looks. It's good stuff.
I think you liked it more than I did. That aspect of it. I thought the Echo Papa was a very stupid thing to have to contend with. It just looked dumb.
I thought it was cute. Like, it certainly looks bad, but I thought it was in a cute way.
I don't know. It felt like it was less of a threat than it actually presented itself to be, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, they do despite the fact that it's evolving, they kill it the exact same way every time. It's like, all right, let's point our phasers at it. Now let's all point our phasers at it.
It is hilarious. There's a shot where like all three of them are shooting, Riker, Yar, and Data, and it looks like Frakes has no idea what he's doing. He just has this like very bewildered face.
The one face he knows how to make.
Actually, I think it was a different face. It was a different bewildered face.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, he looked like he was like a deer in the headlights. Like he really didn't know what was going on.
Well, it's like, all right, point this dustbuster at this unspecified point beyond the camera, and
right.
Look
and to
intense.
be fair, this is after again hours of standing around, so he was a little disheveled.
True. Can't blame him. I don't know though. I liked. I mean, I've been over this. The whole inhuman alien kind of mystery of this sentry system that is changing. I think is an intriguing thing for them to contend with. Had it been handled more interestingly than just we'll point our phasers at it again, I think it could have been cool.
Yeah. I mean, it's not a bad idea, landing on a planet that kind of still has this AI active that is learning how to kill people better. But execution wise, I just thought it was extremely dull.
Yeah, I feel that. I feel that.
Yeah. So Picard goes down to the planet for absolutely no reason.
Yeah, once you started saying that in my head, I'm like, why did he go down?
Yeah, he had no reason to.
When they're getting the away team together, Yar specifically says, let's get a light away team to feel things out, and then we'll send for more people. Which is sensible, I guess, but I don't think the send for more people entailed the captain of the entire ship.
Right, and to add insult to injury, the second he beams down on the planet, Data basically says, "Oh, I know how to fix this." So now Picard and Crusher are on the planet for basically no reason, and they stay there.
Right, they don't just go back. They're like, all right. Let's fuck around and find out.
Right.
So their story, theirs is the third story of these three. We mentioned Geordi, we mentioned the away team. Is that they fall in a hole, like a cavern, and like Crusher gets fucked up, breaks her leg or something, gash on her head.
Yeah, that was painful to watch.
Yeah, and the 70-year-old Patrick Stewart's just fine. I guess she broke his fall. So conceptually, I think that's a fine-ish idea. It's like, oh, the doctor's injured, and now Picard has to care for her, and like their history comes out in like these quieter moments in between all that. Like, yeah, that could there's an idea there, but I don't think any of the character stuff was handled well enough at all to justify this.
I mean, that whole scene was or that collection of scenes was basically rewritten pretty late in the game, because originally it was supposed to be much more. It was originally supposed to have much more romantic overtones to it.
Huh.
And Gene put the kibosh on that, basically. So they had to kind of rewrite it in such a way that it didn't do that. Even though it still kind of does. It still like hints at it a little bit,
A little bit. But it's
subtle.
There's one moment in particular that came across to me as particularly cold and inhuman, which is probably a result of this. Picard is exploring around a cavern, and it's right before he finds the console. Crusher's like talking, and she's kind of like fading away, speaking like half awake, doesn't really sound all there. And she says something, and Picard just brushes her off, and he's like, yeah, whatever. Oh, look at this, there's a console here.
Yeah, Patrick sounds very like uninterested throughout most of those scenes. He's walking around the room just saying, come on, Doctor, stay awake for me.
Yeah, and they're supposed to at least be friends. If you want to remove the romantic aspect, that's fine. But they have a clear history together. I mean, they almost fucked in the naked now, for God's sake.
Yes.
So I don't buy what's the finished product. I know that it wasn't originally supposed to be like this, but
Yes, no, I 100% agree with you. And that scene where Crusher says, she needs warmth. I mean, wouldn't you like cuddle up with her? Like any like normal human being, like try to keep her warm. You know what I mean? Like that threw me off. Like that's not something that like a captain of a ship would do, is just leave someone to freeze.
Picard like throws some sand on her.
Yeah, which if you remember correctly, that sand was filled with mites.
Right. Which Gates was not happy about.
Gates was not happy about many things going on.
No. I mean, this was basically the climax of her particular arc of dissatisfaction, and every cast member had their own. They were all mutinying at one point or another. So Gates wanted out of the show, and if you've watched any amount of TNG, you probably know that she wasn't in season 2. So initially, she's like, "Get me out! I'm done. This is my last episode. Fucking done with this." And that's why the episode is what it is. Dr. Crusher's really injured. She's getting crushed by different debris and sand and whatnot. It was supposed to be her demise. Not to spoil the end of the episode, but this, I think it was Rick who convinced her to stay on till the end of the season. Really at the last minute. So there's one line at the end, which was going to be, Dr. Crusher succumbed to her injuries, and then you would just cut the credits and she'd be dead. But we changed it really quick to Dr. Crusher's going to be okay. And then cut the credits.
That's
Right.
Very smooth.
Right. You would never know that something was changed.
Yeah. We did a great job with that. I do say so.
And you know what? Credit to Rick here. Yes, Gates was not in season 2, but by extending her stay in season 1, keeping the door open, led to her coming back in season 3, and was a prized member of the cast from then on.
Yes, it was definitely a shame to lose her the first time, and equally as wonderful to have her back. So.
Yeah, it was particularly annoying because her absence meant that, Meanie had to have a lot more screen time to fill the redhead quota.
Right.
And I don't think anybody was happy with that.
Yeah, that did not go over too well. Side note, have you noticed how when people are walking down the corridors of the Enterprise, they kind of like almost check each other?
All right, let's dive into this.
It kind of bothers me.
Physically?
Yes, yeah. It just seems passive aggressive.
There is a lot of that. There is a lot of very deliberate, sterile walking.
Yeah, they don't really like acknowledge each other.
Right. Yeah,
they come very close to bumping into each other.
Just fucking wave to each other, or be like, "Oh, sorry, excuse me."
Give a nod, maybe.
Right.
Even when people walk by the captain, most of the time they don't do anything.
You would think that they would, not. I guess they don't salute in Starfleet, but something.
Do they not salute?
I don't think I've ever seen them salute.
I think someone does salute. I think someone did salute already to the captain, but I might be wrong.
Maybe they all do the Vulcan finger thing.
Oh yeah. The silly Dr. Spock thing.
Right.
Well, actually, ensigns, if you know how to appropriately greet a Starfleet captain, please email us, tweet at us, let us know.
Big piece of lore to set straight.
Yeah. Well, it's important to know for sure. So, I guess.
Actually, there's one note that I have here before we move on from the Crusher Picard stuff. I'm just going to read this to you. How I wrote it down, depending on what I was thinking at the time. This is exactly as my notes are. This Crusher Picard scene is half interesting drama and half doctor-patient sexy roleplay.
Yeah, oh yeah, when she's telling him how to like
Yeah,
smear the root on her leg.
yeah.
Which is absolutely hilarious to think of that as sexual role play.
I don't know why. It was something about like the stilted mechanical instruction of like ostensibly medical things that
Right.
don't quite sound on the level, but it's like, oh, I'm the doctor. Let's elevate your foot.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. Just the awkwardness alone
Mm-hmm.
really really helped.
Okay, so we're kind of at what I think we would both agree is the best part of the episode, which is the Geordi stuff, as we alluded to
Yeah.
before. Where Geordi is put in command of like a skeleton crew and is under pressure and has to like overcome that situation, something that's new to him. All the while, not only the danger of the lives that he's responsible for, but a higher ranking officer breathing down his neck, questioning his abilities.
Yeah. Like I said, lots of interesting stuff here. And you got Marina, Troy trying to be a relevant character.
Yeah, and just kind of failing.
Yeah, yeah.
She has a talk with Geordi that does really nothing, because Geordi never. The whole point is, oh, Geordi, your crew's scared. You got to be the captain and inspire confidence in them, which Geordi never does, and they never really look outwardly nervous or anything.
At one point, well, okay, so there actually is kind of foreshadowing, I guess, if you can call it that, to that, when what's her name, Ensign Sue, like she's making mistakes or going slowly, and she seems a little flustered.
Oh yeah, you're right. She's like, oh, I can't find the pattern, and Geordi walks over, and 1 second later, he's like, oh, there it is.
Right, and Geordi's solution to this, near the end of this space battle, was to say, "You've earned the right to be in those chairs," which I guess is, it's something to say, I guess. But
sorry, next time the actually competent people leave the ship, I'll call you up.
Yes, yeah, exactly. Although Ensign Sue was very cute.
She was.
I must say.
Did you see this thing on Twitter? I know you're not as active on Twitter as I am, but did you see this with her?
What is it?
So the actress, I do not remember her name, but recently the Stop Asian Hate hashtag was a big thing, right? And
yeah, of course.
She tweeted about this episode in reference to that hashtag. So you remember the original vision of her character is that Ensign Sue would constantly, all of her lines would be excerpts from The Art of War, Sun Tzu.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh my god, yes, that was such a good idea.
Right. And it was, a cool reference, a nice homage to the culture, us paying our respects, the writers paying their respects. It was a great thing. And she was pissed about it. She comes in, she's like, this is stereotyping. This is not going to work. I can't say these lines. How dare you? And it's like, come on. Like, we cast a Korean actress specifically. We wanted to pay tribute to like all the Orientals out there. It's complaining about it. Like, what are you even accomplishing? Had that original script gone through, and like our vision for Ensign Sue made it to fruition, the amount of just Asian Trekkies would have exploded. I'm kind of flustered about it. It's like, maybe you're the hateful one in all this. Like, consider that the next time, some Laotian girl out there isn't able to see herself on the screen just because you had to shut down the Sun Tzu stuff.
And that's the thing. Representation matters like this.
Yes,
and
exactly.
If you're going to refuse to, portray your culture on screen, maybe we should be just hiring white people.
Right. And we always tried to have a diverse cast. And
Yeah.
Sometimes it's easier than others, I guess I'll say.
Yeah, and well, some people played ball and stayed in their lane.
Right. And
And some people
others
did.
did not and weren't asked back on the show. So there's
Yep.
that.
There you go. There you go. Oh.
I think at some point in the episode you can see her nipples through her shirt.
So I think at every point it looks like you can see her nipples, but I don't think they're actually her nipples.
Right, I think it's a ruffle in an unfortunately placed ruffle in the clothing, in the costume.
But I do like to imagine they were her nipples, for sure.
It certainly adds another layer to the episode.
Yeah. So I guess before we get to the saucer set.
Right, which I wrote in my notes in all caps.
I did as well, in 4 exclamation points. Before we get to the saucer set, I guess there's this you kind of alluded to it. There's this dynamic between Geordi and who is suddenly the chief engineer. Argyle is not there.
Right, there's a lot of turnover on the Enterprise.
Yeah. Well, so there is a bit of a story behind that, which I guess I can get into. I mean, so originally with engineering, the whole point was that we wanted to show kind of the pitfalls of a mismanaged and chaotic department. In engineering, just to contrast with our crew, which was pretty strictly hierarchical, the bridge crew. And so the whole idea here was that no one on the Enterprise could actually decide who should be the chief engineer. So everyone in engineering just kind of called themselves that. And the rest of the crew was just forced to play along because, they were the ones powering the ship, running the engines.
Right.
Without engineering, the ship wouldn't move. So, we started building this up pretty well. A lot of the early episodes had engineering issues. And the bridge crew would tend to be the ones solving the engineering issues, right?
Right.
But Gene just started arbitrarily enforcing his rules, as usual, on our creative team. And we were just left with this holdover of this concept. And it just made it seem like we didn't know what we were doing.
Very frustrating.
Yeah, and so, we had a lot of people write in support, in favor of Argyle.
Team Argyle, we said.
Yeah, I was Team Argyle myself. The only problem is all of these letters came in before the Argyle episode aired. So there was no way these could have been real fans. You see what I'm saying?
Right. Yes, it's a bit...
It was a coordinated effort.
A bit of an underhanded tactic.
Exactly. So, despite everything, despite the overwhelming support, Argyle got axed. And now we are left with...
what is his name?
What is his name?
What is his name?
Oh, no. How could I have forgotten?
It's a name. It's a pretty normal name. I gotta look this up. I will not be able to sleep tonight if I do not know the name of this chief engineer.
Check it real quick.
Let's see. Chief engineer Logan.
Logan. That's right. Logan. Say it 7 times. You'll remember it.
Logan Gold. Ah, shit. I'll try again later.
Okay.
So him and Geordi have this power struggle, which is kind of one-sided in a way. Like, Geordi never really seems to ever consider his position to be in question, which I guess is good, right? It's a show of confidence from Geordi. And
it kind of reads like one of those political comics you find online where one side is, I'm goofy and
right, like I'm shouting, I'm raising my voice, and the other guy's like, I'm calm and collected,
looking smug. That's how that kind of played out.
There is one moment which is solely a red herring for the audience, where the situation doesn't go right for Geordi, and he's like, Chief Engineer Logan, report to the bridge. And as the audience, you're like, oh no, is he gonna turn over the captain's chair? And Logan struts onto the bridge, and he's like, you rang? And Geordi's like, yes, I need you to go back to engineering
Well, when you put it like that,
That's how it is. That's exactly how it goes.
yes, it is. It is.
Which it was I don't know, it was dumb, but it didn't like bother me.
No, I didn't really notice it, but now that you've pointed it out, that is very funny.
So the
But
whole struggle that Geordi's facing is that the Enterprise is under fire by a weapon from that planet, the arms dealer planet.
Yeah.
And they can't like see it; it's invisible, so they can't lock onto it. They can't fight it. And Geordi tries his gambit, it fails, and he's like, "All right, we're getting out of here. I'm gonna separate the saucer."
Oh.
Yes, and then I sat up immediately. I'm like, "Oh my god, it's the sep."
Finally.
Yes, we get to reuse the same shots of the saucer separating. Very economical.
Yes. A lot of time and money went into those. So
yeah, I remember having to go in and like clean out the cobwebs on the Battle Bridge set. It had been so long.
It had been a very long time. I thought whatever Geordi was fighting was part of the Echo Papa, but I guess it wasn't.
It doesn't make sense for it not to be, but at the same time, it
Right.
kind of does. Like it does from a logical perspective. It doesn't from a writing perspective.
From a Star Trek is kind of stupid perspective.
Yeah, because they eventually are able to shut down the Echo Papa, and I'm like, oh, so Geordi's fine, right? And he's like, no, I still gotta kill this thing.
Yeah,
so.
see, that's what I thought would happen. Geordi just wouldn't have to do anything.
Yeah, which I guess is good, where Geordi like solves his own problem.
Yeah, for sure.
Although I don't really get the that whole sequence of Geordi. So his like plan for after they separate the saucer is to fly into the atmosphere of the planet, which would cause his ship and presumably the other weapon to begin like burning up, which would create some amount of like heat signature that they can then lock on from the other thing and blow it up. But it's presented as like, oh, we're entering atmosphere. The hull is this hot, and we're in danger. Our ship is gonna die or something. And it's like, what? Does the Enterprise never enter another planet's atmosphere? That it's in danger of burning up just on re-entry?
That is a very good point. And I didn't notice that. Yeah,
and the idea of how to destroy this weapon makes sense. It's just there's manufactured danger. Like I don't really get why the Enterprise lower section is really at peril here.
Right. It would. I mean, the Enterprise has to enter planets' atmospheres.
Right.
So yeah, it really does make no sense why it would suddenly be burning up in this one. God. Wow. You're smart, Mitch. I never thought about that.
You're right. I am smart. Anyway, that sequence kind of plays out, and it's fun to see Geordi doing the captain stuff and kind of getting over his. Then again, like, what is his emotional struggle in this? Like he doesn't really have a confidence problem. He kind of bounces back pretty quickly when his plan fails.
I think it's just an issue of like relative inexperience and having to prove yourself under a suddenly very dire situation.
Yeah, but I would have rather have had more emotional struggle, because all we get is like that scene where he's talking to Troy and Geordi's like, "I'm nervous. I'm inexperienced. I'm nervous." And it's just him kind of saying his feelings, or Troy saying his feelings.
Right.
Without any.
She's very good
at it. Yeah. Yeah, I'm using my Betazoid powers. The first time that you're being the captain, you must be a little nervous. And
oh wow, what a great character.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I get what you're saying. I wish there was more beat to it.
That could have happened if they cut one of the other two stories and just had more time.
Yes, definitely.
So again,
Especially-
this whole 3-pronged approach to this episode, it was not successful in the slightest.
Didn't do it any favors for sure.
Yeah.
We spend a lot of time on Data jumping down a hole.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, we do. So this, I didn't think about this, but it tickles me. They eventually find Crusher and Picard, and Data's like, okay, I can jump down this hole. And Riker's like, are you sure? And Data's like, yes. and Yar is then like, oh no, Data, you'll break. And Data's like, no, I won't. It's like, I don't get the rationale of ever like arguing with Data. It's like, what, he's just...
Yeah, I'm sure he's already calculated all this.
Right, but there's like several lines of dialogue before Data just jumps in the hole and everything's fine.
Yeah, nothing happens.
Right. And, what does he even do in the hole? Like, him and Picard... This is the worst part of the episode. This is so stupid. They go over to the console that Picard found, which is like the control panel for the weapon system. And
Yep.
Picard's like, okay, redirect the targets. And Data's like, I can't. He's like, turn it off. And Data's like, I can't. And he's like, well, destroy it. And he's like, I can't. And then Picard just asks the hologram, can you turn it off? And the hologram's like, yeah. So the solution was just to ask? And this is the system that destroyed all life on the planet? They couldn't just ask him to turn it off?
Oh my god, yes. Yes, that was very stupid. Like no one thought to kind of just tell the hologram that they're going to buy it.
Right. It's ridiculous. I understand, like, not arriving to that immediately, but
Yeah.
your entire species gets extinct before anybody has this thought? Like, what the hell? And
Right.
at least, like, we're talking about, oh, Geordi's threat wasn't linked to this thing. Well, at least that created the opportunity for them to solve that problem in a clever way. Whereas this is, like, the exact opposite.
It's very stupid, yeah. It's just not really a solution.
I was borderline offended seeing this. Like, I used so many question marks. I typed in all caps. The solution was asking for it to be shut off?
Somehow it didn't bother me that much, but when you explain it like that, it is very stupid.
It's incredibly stupid. Offensively stupid. It grabbed me immediately with how much I didn't like it. And I was already not predisposed to like this episode. So
Yeah.
seeing that rushed conclusion to the threat was really dumb.
Yes. Very dumb.
Especially when I was saying, like, oh, I kind of like the threat that's posed here conceptually, this evolving century of alien technology. Oh, it's a smart system. It evolves to match what we're doing to it. We got to be smart too if we want to destroy. No, just ask somebody to turn it off.
That's it.
Yeah. Do you mind?
Yeah.
Do you mind killing us?
It's a common theme with these season 1 episodes. Things just get resolved in the most unsatisfying ways.
I mean, that's the end of this episode entirely. I timed it. It's like 30 or 90 seconds between when Geordi's ship blows up that weapon, then they go back to the bridge with everybody there. Somebody rushes in and is like, Dr. Crush is going to be okay. And then the episode ends. And it's like the most fluid 90 seconds of rushed conclusion ever set to film.
Yeah, for all the time they spent running around that set, shooting their little lasers at the Echo Papa, they could have devoted some of that to actually wrapping this up.
Right. No, I'd rather just I'd rather Riker, Yar, and Data fire their phasers in sequence, and then have a 10-second shot holding on the sentry dying to it, rather than it just exploding.
Yeah. when they teamed up, my jaw dropped. My mouth was agape.
It's an epic team
I,
up.
yeah.
It's like, damn, Riker can shoot like that.
Oh, so impressive.
So that's the Arsenal of Freedom. I don't really get the title. Like, why the what is freedom about it?
We haven't talked about that, have we? There is an arsenal, but of freedom?
I don't know if this is like a political commentary, an attempt at it. Like the United States military industrial complex.
Really Palestine type thing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's weird. And I kind of thought like, oh, this arms dealer kind of looks vaguely Jewish. Like, what,
yeah.
What are you
Absolutely,
implying with this?
Yeah.
Well, you gotta be careful about picking sides in Hollywood.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, because
well, I don't want to say it, but
it's already hard enough for guys like us, I guess.
Exactly.
Given that we're not part of the chosen people, but
no.
In any case, yeah. I guess that's it, huh? I wouldn't really recommend this episode to anyone.
Oh, me neither. This is in my bottom quartile of season 1 episodes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Super boring, super structurally flawed.
Yeah. It still wasn't as boring as The Naked.
No. At least the Naked Now was like confusing and bewildering.
I guess it was sufficiently dumb enough.
Right.
Yeah, I guess I take that back, huh?
This was just...
There were more boring episodes, for sure.
Certainly. So, not a recommendation. Gets like a 2 out of 6. I don't know.
Yeah, I say that's fair. All right. So my question for you this week...
Are you up to it with your sickness?
Yeah, it's okay. I'm powering through, don't worry.
Then I'm game.
So, Geordi takes command of the Enterprise twice so far, right?
Yeah.
How many more times across the series does he take command of the Enterprise?
Are we counting movies?
No.
Okay. And Geordi specifically.
Geordi specifically.
Part of me wants to say 0. Because I'm trying to think. I can think of times when basically every other member of the cast has taken control of the Enterprise. And of course I can think of Geordi in season 1. But nothing is jumping to mind of Geordi in the captain's chair going forward from this. And rather than just choose a number that I really have no idea about, I'm going to go with 0, because that's what my memory's saying.
Well, I guess that was a freebie for you, huh? I was expecting you to overthink this.
Yes.
Wow, you're really getting the hang of this.
Yeah, well, I don't want to spoil anything, but now that COVID has been letting up a bit and vaccinations have been rolling out, the weekly Trek trivia night at the local bar has been starting back up, and I've been sneaking out there without you. So
wow,
mm-hmm.
Wow,
gotta
unbelievable.
Practice. After the undeniable humiliation of going like 0 for 6 or something in the first few weeks, I had to step up my game.
Well, you're catching up, so I'm proud of you.
Hopefully I can get to that prized 50-50 record.
It's coming. I'll give you a few low balls, don't worry.
Nothing will ever top predicting the question.
Yes.
That was the highlight of my life.
Oh man. I was so angry.
Which made it all worth it for me.
Yeah.
Alright, so that'll about do it for this episode of the Readier Room. Join us next time for episode 21. We're rapidly approaching the end of this season, and very soon we'll be crusherless. But
yes.
Until next time, everybody, I implore you, please stay ready.
The troublesome little man-child.
Consider that in the history of many worlds, there have always been disposable creatures.
Do you consider yourself superior to us?
is our damn business.
But I stroke the beard thusly. Do I not appear more intellectual?
Computer, freeze program.
It's not a promising beginning.